Okay, thank you. Yes, we have a small PowerPoint, and it's a bit strange that even having an assistant there to do the bidding, because occasionally I may well need to miss out a PowerPoint. It's all difficult doing PowerPoints because you put your notes down and you go, actually, I don't really talk to the PowerPoint about the PowerPoint. It's just there as an aid-memoir, as it were. But I'm talking about embracing diversity, which to me implies harmony, because we are about embracing all that diversity within every single person. Okay? And I will refer to a couple of things. Again, one of the images that comes to mind is this one world, the shot from Apollo 11 from the moon, about that is our world, right? That is where we are. And in fact, to put us into context, I'd also like to take it a little bit further when we talk about the context. So next slide. That is Earth. That is the whole of humanity. 4 billion years away, 4 billion miles away. In 1990, Voyager 1 took that picture of us. That is how important we are and how significant we are to the universe and to nature. Okay then. But if we take it back down a bit more to the personal, and we'll then talk about, next slide please. Rachel Carson talked in The Silent Spring 1960 and the central truth of ecology, which is that everything in nature is related to everything else. And her starting point for her work was, it was something where people were commenting that the birds weren't singing. And the birds weren't singing because there were no birds. Because the overuse of insecticides and pesticides were killing the insects. And the insects gone, no birds. So that's it. We do exist in this balance, which at times, when we have the split in the 17th century, was talked about earlier, about that sort of science and technology and nature divorce. We need to come back to that, find that harmonious sustainability. The next slide. And sustainable communities don't overexploit resources. We take only that which are renewable, even though I've talked there about raw materials. But again, we have to use the resources that are available to our communities in a sustainable way. And again, the United Nations there, we're determined to ensure that, wrong glasses, it's terrible, it's an age thing, but all human beings can enjoy prosperous and fulfilling lives, and that economic, social and technological process occurs in harmony with nature. Okay then, next slide. Oh, actually, no, we can miss that one. So, miss? Yep.
Okay, cool.
Okay then. So, right. So my dissertation is on defining spaces, personal discourses on non-binary self-identity. So it's a case of how do non-binary people negotiate their space in this binary gendered world. And I do say, I probably misquote Judith Butler there, if gender is a social construct, and therefore I extend it, may a society or community be validated by the gender constructs within that society? Does validating gender diversity allow individuals space and time for personal growth? And embracing gender diversity acknowledges that each member of a community has equal value. Okay. So when we talk about non-binary individuals, and I do include in that non-binary, gender non-conforming, and all others outside that binary gender. How many people are we talking about? Is this the odd individual? And there've been a couple of surveys done, not just yet. In 2011, there was a survey that found that non-binary genders are about 0.4% of the population surveyed, which actually, if you translate it to the UK's population, gives us about 265,000 individuals within the UK. And funny enough, as part of the dissertation I'm doing, I have a survey, And I just, as a matter of interest, I wondered how many people in my survey have identified as non-binary, and I came up with a figure of 0.4%. So, you know, if the Equality and Human Rights Commission sort of are validating my figures, I can't be doing anything wrong there. And again, it's when we talk about numbers, and what initially triggered my dissertation off about so how many people is the next slide. There was the 2018 LGBT plus survey of the government. Yep, no, when I translate it into a graph, the red line there shows that between 16 and 34, those individuals who identify as non-binary outstripped the combined total of those who identified as trans men and trans women. So, when we're talking about contributions to society, I think you mentioned there, it's been mentioned about age. I wonder whether this time is when people are establishing their identities. You know? So we're trying to find that space. We're trying to find our place in society. Who am I? Where am I philosophically? Where am I, sort of my mental place in there? Does non-binary give me this safe space for my personal growth? And therefore, I can then contribute to society, and society will value my contribution and understand where I'm coming from. Okay, and the final one, age. I sort of said a couple of questions, and I've sort of said here. Does a spike in reported self-identity indicate a positive identification? Or is it sort of something, oh, I don't like sort of, you know, is it negative, I don't want to be this, therefore I'll be that one? That's the question I'm posing. Or could it be a breathing space that allows individuals time to explore their place in society? And does society have a place for itself? And it says, societies educate and train their younger members, giving them time to acquire knowledge. Is it not therefore equitable then to allow them the time to explore their own gender identities? Okay. Thank you very much. And I have an awful lot more of sort of notes here that I've been making as going along, and ignored them all. So.